Welcome everyone to December 20th Board of Supervisors meeting. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is public comment. If anyone has public comment on the agenda items, would you please state your name and address? Greg? Not hear me?
We can hear you.
Does that make a difference? No? There. How about now?
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. If there are any on agenda items, would you please state your name and address? Yes, ma'am.
Denise Rogers, 1595 Lower Rockhill Road. I'm going to read a letter on behalf of Corinna Rilling, 217 Thousand Acre Road. On behalf of Corinna Rilling, 217 Thousand Acre Road, who is not able to attend this meeting, I am reading her statement. I'll give this to Judy when we're finished. Corinna would like it entered into the record.
It's not a confirmed appointment.
She's not
But
confirmed.
it's public comment.
Public
On
comment.
agenda items.
Agenda
Right.
items.
But she's not here. Does that matter? No. Okay, proceed.
After months of meetings and passionate but intellectual arguments against the proposed zoning change by residents, an ex-supervisor in West Rockhill's very own Conservation Committee, the 3-2 split vote by the Planning Commission was shocking and appalling. A zoning change would have benefited H&K and no one else, in spite of the flowery language by H&K's engineer detailing the aggregate industry's various contributions. We all know that stone is essential to roads and construction. H&K has 15 to 20 years left to quarry in West Rockhill Township as the quarry now stands. We are all accustomed to our homes shaking, drones of stone crushers, dishes rattling, cracks in driveways, in swimming pools, and major water issues. But this proposal would significantly alter the affected area and increase the problems H&K blithely states are resolved. Tankers on the ready with water relief after wells go dry, bottled water on the ready to replace contaminated new wells. In explaining his decision for his vote to allow a zoning change to extraction, one Planning Commission member recounted the newly hired hydrogeologist's finding that expanding the mining into the proposed 10-acre area would not affect the wells as much as would increasing the depth of mining. This is very short-sighted. As soon as the 10 acres is extracted to the depth of the rest of the quarry, H&K will apply for a permit to allow them to mine from the current 300-foot depth to the next step of 400 feet in all areas of the new significantly enlarged pit. Glossed over by H&K's engineer is the fact that residents with now deepened or replaced wells are still experiencing horrendous problems. Sulfurous, rotten egg smells in their water, rust-stained water, forcing them to bypass their own water supply and drink bottled water supplied by H&K. For the Gearharts, it's been 12 years of these problems, and this is what other residents should be willing to accept. Furthermore, in citing the Bucks County Planning Commission's review of the proposed zoning change, a dissenting Planning Commission member stated that because the encroachment of the quarry into the two new parcels would not be a reason to turn down the request, since the lots are fairly isolated and generally consistent with surrounding land use, he failed to explain that the Bucks County Planning Commission wrote a very nuanced review. They neither recommended rezoning nor opposed it. They remained neutral. With words of caution, they also stated that encroaching quarrying operations would enter a resource protection area with critical natural resources and high-quality headwaters of the Ridge Valley Creek, designated as such by the Pennsylvania Department of the Environmental Protection Agency. What the Quarry and the Bucks County Planning Commission review have not addressed is the existence of two organic farms less than a quarter mile from the quarry. What about their access to abundant clean water, peaceful pastures for their cows, sheep, pigs, and chickens, their crops? What about the proximity to conserved agricultural land of 40 acres and the game lands of 50+ acres? Another reason for the two dissenters in the 3-2 vote was that they were pro-business. We opposing the zoning change made lifelong decisions based on stable zoning laws. We are not anti-business. I am sure we all wish H&K continued success, but they must abide by our established zoning laws. We implore you, Mr. Miller, Mr. Kaiser, and Mr. Duval, please do not change the zoning in our residential conservation zone. Vote to deny rezoning to extraction.
Okay, any other public comment on the agenda items? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to announcements. It is with great pleasure that I'm proud to share with the board our recognition of a citizen that we try to recognize every year, at least one, for his great effort, time, talent, and resources to this community, Mr. Bob Strobel. We will present him with a plaque so that his name may be added to that plaque.
You might need it.
Say Park and Rec.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, thank you, Jay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, moving forward, I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes unless someone has any changes or additions to them for November 15th.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, next on the agenda is confirmed appointments. Mrs. Schramer? Jean Schramer, yes.
Yep. Last month I made a statement, but I didn't get the information through the right to know in time to submit my questions, and therefore I'm doing that this evening.
Okay.
My questions are all about the aerial drone survey that was not mentioned in October, that was completed by H&K for the township. My questions are, one, who on the board and when was this aerial drone survey completed of M&M Quarry? Can I have those questions
I believe
answered?
Mr. Duval was involved in that project.
I sat with Greg and Steve Ballard.
I'm sorry, I can't.
I sat with Greg and Steve Ballard. Greg set up the meeting, and the purpose of the meeting was to get their opinion of what they thought, whether or not the quarry, M&M Quarry, was recoverable. And that was pretty much the sense of the discussion. They said they would give us a comment in a short period of time. And I think it was 3 months later we heard from them. And they had done, I guess, an extensive survey of that property, and they gave their views on what they thought it would take to recover it. And they basically, the substance of it would take 100 years to recover that quarry.
Okay. And what is the in-kind value of that service?
I don't know. Would you say it's a simple question?
Well, we were all putting values on the paving of the Holiday House parking lot and on the stretch in the walking path stretch, and I think we should have
We
an
paid nothing
in-kind
for
value.
it.
Pardon me?
We paid nothing for it. We asked them a question. They're a member of the community, and they're in the quarrying business, and they would probably be in the best position to determine whether that property was recoverable.
I don't understand. They provided a service for the township. Shouldn't it have an in-kind value?
They responded to our question.
It was just a question. It wasn't a request?
No, it was a question, what they thought. They went away, and 3 months later, we came back with an extensive survey, which we didn't ask them to make that. I mean, they did that on their own, I guess, to feel confident they...
Well, how much work did that involve, like time-wise?
Beg pardon?
How much work did that involve time-wise?
I don't know.
Mr. Haynes is sitting here, why don't you ask him?
He is sitting.
What's the purpose of the question?
Well, we went to all this trouble to put values on the other services that were rendered. And we should have that one too. If you're gonna do two, if you're gonna open this can of worms, then let all the worms out, not just the two.
But we can't answer that.
Can you ask?
But I don't know what value would be to ask at this point in time.
I think people wanna compare it.
I don't know. Jim?
I have to pull the records down. I'm not sure myself.
Do you think you could have that in the future? I think if you're gonna have a record of all the other expenses,
We didn't ask them to do a
In-kind.
study, we asked them a question.
but you still received a service.
Well, that's what they decided to do.
It doesn't make sense to me. I think we should have a value established.
Well, I just
So
asked him,
it's
and he said yes and no.
Can it be provided in the future?
I guess if we asked him that question again, we could do that.
Would you? Or do I have to ask?
Well, you can ask him, he's right there.
Can I
He said
ask
he
you
doesn't know.
to provide that to the township?
Do you want it done?
I don't know what it is. When we asked a simple question, and we got a number of pages back, and they basically told us what we thought was the case, and the number they gave us would take 100 years to reclaim that chloride.
But you brushed
No, I
this
know
off,
that-
that there was a big deal made about those other two services. And now we're supposed to just like brush this one off.
I'm not brushing it off, I only know what I know. I don't know what it costs, so I didn't tell them to make a study.
Okay,
but they
can I
did.
make an official request that at some point in time between West Rockhill and H&K that a value is established for that service?
I'll say we'll try to get that,
Thank you.
okay?
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Is that it?
I believe it is. Yep.
By the way, the board was aware we were going to ask that question.
At the end. She's on the agenda,
Okay, thank you.
okay? Okay, next on the confirmed appointment is Community at Rockhill.
Excuse me.
Good evening.
Good evening, hi there. My name is Vincent Galati, I'm the Vice President of Finance with the Community of Rockhill. We are closing our financing on Friday of about $16.7 million. A portion of the proceeds are going to be provided by tax-exempt bonds issued by the Sellersville IDA. We need your approval to enter into that transaction, and it's my understanding that, well, we need that approval evidenced by a resolution of the township and a certificate of approval of the township, and it's my understanding that these documents were forwarded to the township prior to this evening. And I was just coming to get that approval and to see if the township has any questions on the transaction itself. We met with Greg a couple of weeks ago to go through the transaction with him, but I'm here to get the approval, hopefully, and to answer any questions that the township might have.
Well, I'm aware of what's going on, and I would make a motion to approve that.
You have any questions first?
Good, I have a question. Can you share what the is going to be used for?
Of course, sure. It's $16.7 million, about $13.7 million of that will be used to refinance older debt that was issued taxable, and we'd like to issue tax-exempt funds to lower our interest costs, and $3 million of the funds will be used for renovations of systems and common areas throughout our campus. And it's the beginning of our long-term master plan for the community.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
Second,
I'm looking for a second. I got a second from Don. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You have it.
Thank you very much. How do I get these signed? Because I have to get them to the DEC tomorrow.
Greg has them, and yeah.
Greg's prepared.
You probably, if you sign them tonight, then he can take them with him and start the process.
I have to get them to council,
Right, you want to do the.
and we don't close with the DCED, and they don't close without you.
They don't, they like their blocks checked, but they're pretty responsive.
Yes.
There's probably more than just the resolution.
There's the resolution and the certificate. The certificate is, maybe more than happy to help.
Does the board have a secretary?
Not bad, I got
Do we need to seal on these, or I need to get the seal?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, while Judy is finishing up there, I will move on to the next committee report. Would be, next on the agenda would be the Planning Commission, Chris Durstein.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. And yourselves?
Good.
All right, I'm going to be brief. Planning Commission met last Tuesday. We had H&K Naysville in for about the fourth or fifth time. They pretty much recapped their, summarized their request to ask for amending the zoning map so they can expand into the RC district there. After some discussion, PC felt comfortable enough to vote on the matter. We voted 3-2 to deny requesting approval to Board of Supervisors. So, we are requesting denial.
I've been listening to the residents, the Planning Commission, and the representatives from H&K. I've concluded that there's no support to move forward. Therefore, I make a motion to direct our attorney to notify the applicant that the board will not be entertaining any future discussions or actions on this zoning request.
All right, do we have a second on that?
I second that motion.
Okay, with the lack of support for the project, I'm going to ask for a vote of all in denial, or I should say, in favor of not moving forward with this project. Say yay.
Yay.
Yay?
You're voting for denial.
We're not denying, we're authorizing Mary to move forward and not to.
I think the motion was to contact them and tell them that there's no support for it and that there wouldn't be any further action or discussion.
Denial.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get that, Judy? Okay.
Wait, there was no vote, was there?
He made a motion, second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else from me?
I was too fast.
That was all we had. So I guess that's my report. We do have reorg next month, so I think we do have an applicant coming in. So we will meet and do the reorganization next month. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, moving forward, Comprehensive Plan Committee, Mr. Duvall.
Comprehensive plan continues. We pretty well sorted out all the statistics from the survey, and those will be available as we complete the survey. We're not sure whether we're going to have them in the plan or have them available if anybody wants to look at them. There's like, I think there's 800 surveys, something like that, and found some surprising things in them. And, we're now in the process of going through the wording of the comprehensive plan to move forward. mentioned at the planning commission meeting, there were a number of comments by the residents to stop the quarry. And I shared that, they asked me the question, I shared that with the planning commission.
Okay. I also know that, as it was indicated earlier in a letter, the number one thing on the survey that came back was roads. And the number 4 thing was walking trails. What do you need to build roads and walking trails? Money. So, keep that in mind moving forward in the future.
Jay, I have a question.
Yes.
Don, did we decide to not have a meeting next week?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're
probably
next week.
make that announcement so people will show
Election
up.
conflict.
So you're not having a meeting in
Till January
December?
4th, 3rd of January. I would add to Jay's comments that there's well, we've got to do a better job of communicating. There's a lot of confusion about taxes and where the tax money goes that you all pay, that we all pay. And that was a big item in the survey, in people's comments. So we've got to do a better explanation. Vast majority of taxes you pay go to the school district. The township gets nothing. They only get that small amount of real estate tax, which is probably an average of, depends on the property evaluation, about $250, $300 a year. And the thousands of dollars that are collected go to the school district. So if you're unhappy with all the taxes, I would suggest talk to the appropriate people. And we'll put some charts out that displays where the taxes are and where they go, the ones we get, where they go, they're a part of the budget, so anybody can look at the budget anytime they want to.
Okay. Moving forward, Park and Rec, Mr. Strobel?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
We did not have a meeting this month for the Park and Rec. We were celebrating for the holidays. But I'm told that Judy has turned in our park plan. Is that true?
Yes, they all have a copy of it.
You have a copy of our future park plan. So is there anything on there in particular that you'd like to discuss while we're here? We have our 1 to 5 year plan, which is our main goals, as you have, and 5 to 10 year plan. The joining of the Moore and the existing park at James is a big issue with us, and I'm sure with you in the future.
It's a big project.
It's a big project.
Rather than an issue, it's a big project.
It is a big project, and to be able to cross the ridge in some safe way,
This
whatever.
was the document you guys asked for a year ago, so
Right, this is what we're.
Bob and I have been putting together the draft, he's been bringing it to his committee, and this is the final document of their plan.
That's
with
true.
the board.
We on the Park and Rec have talked about all these issues for several months, so.
From your perspective, Judy, is that a big variance in what's in the overall plan for Park and Rec? And
Well, that was done in 2010, and the committee's changed a little bit, so I'd say some things moved up and down. Did we add anything significant?
To the 1 and 5 year, I think one of our likely things that we'd like to do is that library. The free library is an issue that people, when we walk around the park, they really seem to like the idea of having a library where people can bring their books, read something, and then, or you can leave a book too, and you can take a book. Now with the new seating area by the flower garden there, we're thinking it'd be a nice place for people to read in the summer, spring. You can read a book, sit over there, look at the pond. So that's one of our things we'd like to do with that free library. We're hoping it wouldn't be an issue with, vandalism, and to actually, build the structure, have somebody already who's going to give me a helping hand. And so I think we can lay it out and build it very inexpensive. And people have already talked about books. A lot of people have a lot of used books. So be something that would have to be, you know, monitored, or we wouldn't have a lock on it, I don't think. It would be free.
You couldn't have a lock on it if you were gonna.
You know, it's a free library. I'm thinking of vandalism, you know. I don't know, there's some issues on the, with the library issue. That's one thing we'd really like to head toward. And of course, being on the group that sold the survey, you know, walking paths are one of the big issues.
Biggest issue.
And roads, but at the same time, the Park and Rec's been wanting to do a little, you know, addition to our play area for the kids' lot. And you brought up as an issue.
And I said I
Some money.
would get back to Jay this month. What I would like to see, this could be done in a couple of phases. The first phase would be the township to take responsibility along with the Park and Rec to make that ADA compatible. I think that, if we could get that done in 1 year, that would be great, because it's gonna cost, you know, we have to enlarge it, we have to put in a path for handicap accessibility that meets a certain standards, and then we have to lay it out for where you wanna put with one additional piece of equipment.
Right.
And then look next year to actually get an additional piece of equipment or continue funding for that. But I think we have to make it ADA compatible before we can move forward. And I think that's not gonna cost the township a lot of money. I may be wrong, Greg, but I don't see that as a huge expense.
No, it's just getting the engineering and the grade right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stolen water.
So I don't know how the other two supervisors.
I've been trying to move this forward for the last four years at least.
I know.
And we have gone nowhere because we're never getting the $25,000 that we need. And the only way to really get it is to say we're taking it out of reserves and take a vote on it.
Right.
And that has been denied in the past. But I think that this should happen. And it should happen soon.
So you think that you might be able to do it for next year, for the following year?
I would support doing it next year, myself. I would support doing the whole thing myself. But, of course, it takes 2 votes to get anything done.
I would suggest we take a real close look at what information we got back on the comprehensive plan, and then from there, consider what direction we go.
Well, we've already had this in the works before the survey was sent out. We took out the flower bed that wasn't being maintained.
Right.
And we decided to enlarge this tot lot, and we put a plan together. So I don't think it's right to abandon that plan, since we've already started the process of it.
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
I don't think the cost will be that high if we just do step by step, like you said, make it incompatible, and then maybe add one item.
How many
Suzanne,
items are in
right?
your plan? I thought there was only one item in your plan to add.
Well,
To the
well-
diagram out there, it's what I saw.
Was there one item, 2?
Might have been 2 items.
That's what I was thinking, 2 maybe, but we could
They
do
were
one.
small. They were very small.
Yeah, we could do one, and then with some, future,
Yeah.
looking in the future, we could have room for a second one, and then we'll see how it goes, money-wise.
Whenever.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So you have our a copy of the park plan, and we'll talk about it some more.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Can we get approval to at least start the ADA
Are
compatibility?
you putting that in the form of a motion?
I'm putting that in form of a motion.
Okay. I'll second it.
Okay.
What's the cost?
What's the cost? No.
I don't know exactly, it probably will not be over
So you're saying 5,000 because of the engineer's study and so.
The engineer to make sure that it meets the grade of ADA compliance, and then more or less it's just extend the walking path. But I don't know how many feet it is off the top of my head.
Can we say not to exceed that?
Yes.
And what are we actually doing?
At this point, we're making the tot lot handicapped accessible, and I think that's a requirement anyhow.
It's not accessible now?
No, it's
You
not.
can walk in it,
No.
down level.
No,
They
you
have to
can't.
be a certain grade.
You gotta go down a step.
I wish I had a layout for you, because there is a good area for that
Yes.
approach.
Yep.
Off to the left coming
Yeah,
in, but
right.
it should be,
Yeah.
I don't see a major cost there, but.
I don't either. I mean, once we, like you said, like Greg said, once we get the plan and we get approval for the grade and everything, I think it's just the guys coming in and digging it out and make the expansion.
And it could just be, does it have to be hard? A hard surface because of a wheelchair?
You're better off.
Better that way.
Technically, it doesn't have to be, but you're better off going that route.
Do we have a design for this?
That's what we
That's
need
what,
to get.
that's what this will include.
Why don't we design it and find out what it will cost?
Can we do something by next month? To have the design? I don't know. I mean, I know you have a lot of priorities. It's,
I tend to agree that it's not a big project, it just hasn't been a priority project,
Right.
Obviously. If you want me to have some information for your next meeting in January, I can do that.
I know you have high priorities that, things you have to take care of.
Does that include a cost estimate too? Steve?
Sure.
Right. Then I would make, I'll hold my motion till next month.
Motion held. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve Bob's report as presented.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Don made the motion, Jim seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
We should do the same for Chris's report.
We did. Didn't we?
I think we did.
Judy? Did we make a motion and approve the planning commission report?
I do not
I don't think you did. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the Conservation Committee. Mr. Lippincott?
You have their agenda and minutes in your packet. I also have one thing to talk about in executive session.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. Would it be possible for 2018 to have a member of the Conservation Committee give the report instead of you giving it every month?
Sure, I can give that back to them.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. All right. I'll make a motion. We accept the Conservation Committee report that Greg presented.
I'll second.
Don second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Next on the agenda is the commission reports, police report. Chief Blake. Oh. Sergeant Maloney, how are you?
I am well, sir. How are you this evening?
Very good, thanks.
Good, excellent. The monthly calls for service summary for November of 2017. The Pennridge Regional Police Department responded to 359 calls for service. Of those calls, 153 were in East Rockhill Township, 206 were in West Rockhill Township. The department handled 34 traffic crashes. There were 12 crashes in East Rockhill Township and 22 in West Rockhill. 20 were reportable crashes and 14 were non-reportable crashes. In regards to criminal activity within the police department, the Pennridge Regional Police officers responded to 10 Part 1 crimes, 36 Part 2 crimes in November, totaling 46 crimes. In West Rockhill, the reported crimes, there was 1 burglary during a residence during the day. There were 3 fraud cases, 4 cases of theft between $50 and $200, 1 under $50 theft, 3 cases of trespassing, 2 criminal mischief cases, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 dog law violation, 1 ordinance violation, 2 drug information cases, 1 public drunkenness, and 2 DUIs, just in West Rockhill. Criminal charges that were filed for November of 2017, 1 indirect criminal contempt, 1 theft, 1 possession of heroin, 2 DUIs, 3 possession of drug paraphernalia, 1 possession with intent to deliver drugs, 3 possession of marijuana, 1 prohibited offensive weapon, 1 disorderly conduct, and 1 public drunkenness. Under other police activities, officers conducted 237 traffic enforcement details, 24 traffic details on Old Bethlehem Pike. Officers issued 18 verbal traffic warnings, 55 citations, and 64 written warnings. Officers also conducted 297 business checks for the month. Under the administrative information, there was a canine search at Pennridge High School on November 14th. One male juvenile was arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia and possessing a weapon on school property. That's the second time we've done a canine search. We did one in the spring of last year. It's through the county. They actually send up, I think this time was 7 or 8 dogs, and handlers from all over the county, Falls Township, Middletown, Ben Salem. They all came up, and they basically do a soft lockdown in the school, and the dogs go through and search everything, including the cars outside too.
Okay.
So, worked out very, very well.
Good work.
Second time. Any questions?
I have none. You're doing great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to the crowd.
Yes, thank you very much.
Be
You guys
safe.
as well.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion for approval of the police report. Motion's been made.
Second.
Second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving forward, next on the agenda is the Joint Recreation Commission.
Well, you would think the pool's closed for the winter, but we're still busy. I think Suzanne and I put in about 30-some hours this past week with various people from the, the community service organization, cleaning the parking lot, cleaning the pool area. We still have a lot more to go, but it's pretty much cleaned up now and in good shape for the winter. We'll be much better off in the spring. So we have been holding our meetings. We've got, let's see, we've got our new membership committee, which I'm going to ask Wendy to report on next month. Don't panic, I was going to And we've also appointed Suzanne Clark as a new member to the Joint Rec Committee board. So all of our seats are filled there now. We'll be looking for another manager to replace Suzanne at the pool, and then Suzanne will be overseeing her activities. We also are looking to get an additional camera. The cameras we have been very successful in catching people trying to get into our area and actually in our area with skateboards in the pool area. So they see the cameras and they immediately get up and run as fast as they can, but by then we've already been notified. We are looking to put an additional one on the YMCA building facing down toward the snack bar so that you can catch people. There's a blind spot where we think people are getting into the pool. We want to be able to catch them. It's a very dangerous thing for people getting in there in the winter. There's some areas that are 8 to 10 feet deep in that, and we don't want people falling in there. Not to admit also that they're trespassing. One other thing, we are having conversations with other organizations and community-oriented folks about ways we can help our youth. We have youth that are at risk in our township and in our area because of drugs and other things. And we are working with them to see if there's anything we can do to help. So hopefully in the near future, I'm going to have a lot more information I can give you on how the Joint Rec Committee plans to get involved with that. So we're excited to be part of that. So I think that's all I have for tonight. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Jim?
Nope.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Motion's been made for approval. I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good job. Good work. And good luck. Moving forward, next on the agenda is the tax collector's report. Suzanne Clark.
Okay, for the month of December for annual taxes, I've collected $558.75. 2017 interims, $83.50, and 2016 interims, $13.11. As of this point, I no longer will accept personal checks for tax payments in my office, only certified checks or money orders till the end of December the 31st. And just to let everybody know, you cannot prepay your taxes with the new tax law changes in Pennsylvania, Bucks County. You cannot prepay, you cannot give me any money to hold for 2018. So, just to answer your questions, because everyone's been asking me.
Okay. No prepaying.
Do not prepay. That's all I got.
All right. Any other questions for Suzanne?
No, I have none. Move for approval.
Okay.
One second.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, great. Moving forward, next on the agenda is the engineer's report.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, we do have over on the table the Holzerman lot line adjustment plans for signature. If you recall, that was a double lot line adjustment up off of Upper Catch Basin Road. Two joining properties, we're swapping some land with the rear property.
Right.
They've addressed all their conditions and the plans are here tonight for signature. And the planning commission had pre-approved last week to sign the plans tonight also. We knew they were coming.
We need a
motion to sign.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to sign the plans. Second?
Second.
Second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You got that.
Okay, you also have in your packet the plan review status. There's no items requiring action tonight. That's all I have unless there's any questions.
No questions.
No questions from me? John?
None.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the engineer's report as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded by Don. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the solicitor report. Mary, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
At the last meeting, you asked me to draft, what we call a Knox box ordinance, but of course we don't, mandate brand names. And, we prepared an ordinance, it was in your packets for review. It requires Knox boxes for all new buildings, all buildings with sprinklers, and all buildings that go through land development, and not necessarily for existing businesses unless they come in for another land development or major renovations. It gives how it works is they buy this thing called a rapid entry system, and they give keys, to that box to the police department. They hold on to the keys, and then they put a key for the building in the box. And so if there is an emergency, or the fire department has to get in, or the police have to get in, they have rapid access. So that is in front of you for authorization to advertise for a public hearing on the ordinance if you so desire.
Okay. What's your feeling, Don?
Well, I have a question. Wouldn't it be good to all be suggested to all business owners? I know what we're putting together doesn't require it, but it seems to me for the benefit of the emergency services and fire departments, we should urge them to do this because it's the defense of their properties.
But if they don't have sprinkler systems, they don't have to, they wouldn't be,
You're saying
required.
Under this draft of the ordinance, they wouldn't be requirements.
That's right.
Don's suggesting that perhaps it be broadened.
I'm not comfortable with that myself.
I'm not comfortable with that either. I think the people that have their businesses set up now and know how they're running their businesses, and they can make the decision if they want to move into one of these rapid access systems.
That's what I suggested, give them the opportunity.
Well, they still have the opportunity, Don, they're just not forced to do it.
They're just not bound to do it.
Well, maybe to
They're
address,
not aware of it.
maybe address to Don's concern is that, maybe Greg can send out notices to, like, all the businesses that you're aware of, and let them, that aren't required to do, or to let them know, they pass this ordinance, it'll be, you'll be required if you do this, but of course we encourage you to do it at any time.
We can also put it in the newsletter too.
Right, that's a good thing.
Well, I know there were concerns in other townships to the north of us about how it was implemented, and I don't think we're implementing it in any way means.
I checked
Well, I would-
3
yeah,
different
yeah.
Knox box ordinances, and they all are implementing it in about the same way.
Yeah. And giving people that have businesses now the option to either stay the way they are or get in, I think is fine. Sprinkler systems, that's different. I mean, business can flood pretty quick if you don't have one of these. So I agree with the ordinance the way it is now.
Okay.
I'll advertise it for a hearing at the next meeting.
Okay. So we need a vote on that for,
No, you're just
You're good.
redirection.
Direction, okay.
The next item on the solicitor's report is a holding tank agreement for Faith Christian Academy. They bought the Supv property, and they're going to be using it for some indoor athletic or indoor recreation facility, and they've gotten a permit from the Department of Health to have a holding tank to serve the property, but in order to do that, they have to have the holding tank agreement with the township. And I understand that you have the originals, they've signed the holding tank agreement, so it's before you. If you'd like to adopt it, just make a motion to adopt the Faith Christian Academy holding tank agreement.
Is there a clear priority in terms of what, the emptying of that tank, the frequency of it and so forth, is that part of
The
it?
Board of Health, that's in the Board of Health application, yeah.
All right, I'll make the motion that we adopt the Faith Christian Academy holding tank ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And I know it looks like it's the end of the report, but it is not. You entered into an agreement of sale a long time ago now, it seems like 6, 8 months ago, with Sellersville to purchase the Catch Basin Road property.
Yes.
And during the course of the due diligence and the surveys and the environmental studies, we found that Sellersville's owned it for so long that many of the deeds are antiques. And the property didn't close and there didn't seem to be any deed at all to account for 3.2 acres of the parcel. So we can't, what the agreement of sale required was to get title insurance for the property. We can't get title insurance for that 3.2 acres. So Greg and Steve and I negotiated with Sellersville. They cut the price in half for that particular parcel. And I'm asking you to authorize execution of the third agreement of sale, which changes the purchase price from $850,000 to $840,000, which is half of the value of the 3.2 acres.
What's our protection going forward though for that piece of property?
What Greg and I have been talking about is to do an action to quiet title. We own the property next to it, and we will own the properties pretty much all around it. And so we will file, and the money that we save in this will fund this. We'll file an action to quiet title, and then that will be conclusive.
So that assured us that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll put a motion on the floor to move in this direction.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Greg, do you have the ones that Sellersville signed last night?
I do not.
All right, they indicate that we can execute them in what's called counterparts, so I'm going to send down a blank agreement and ask that you sign it. And we'll get these, well actually it's a photocopy agreement. I'll get these down to you.
Okay,
I think that's it.
is that all you have, Mary?
I believe so.
Mayor, could you tell me the name of the document again?
Me?
They authorized.
It's the signing of the third
Execution.
amendment to the agreement of sale.
Okay.
The first two amendments had to do with the settlement date.
Thank you.
And we anticipate, I'm sorry, that's the big news, right? We anticipate that we'll go to settlement before the next meeting, hopefully next week.
Okay. Good. All right, moving forward, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve Mary's report as presented.
Make a motion?
Okay, motion to made
Second.
and seconded. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the Township Manager's Report. Mr. Lippincott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing is the emergency services report for November 2017. Sellersville had 22 calls, 12 of which were in West Rockhill Township. Sellersville Route 309, 1 call, 1 of which was in West Rockhill Township. Telford had 20 calls, 5 of which were in West Rockhill Township. Telford 309 had 0 calls. Collersport had 21 calls, 4 of which were in West Rockhill Township. And Trumbarsville had 34 calls, 2 of which were in West Rockhill Township. You also have a copy of the building and zoning report for the month of November, brought in $25,796.33, bringing the grand total to $117,044.63. You also have a copy of the list of the permits that were issued.
Are there any questions for Greg on that matter?
Have none?
No.
Okay, entertain a motion for approval on that.
Make a motion?
Okay, motion's been made.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
The next item is the treasurer's report, ending November 30th, 2017. The general fund, $461,114.56. Highway aid, $114,000.
Hang on, excuse me a minute, Greg, can you repeat that? The general fund?
It's $461,114.56.
Thank you. Okay,
Highway aid is $114,496.05. Open space is $1,821,142.38.
which will be a lot less after this settlement goes through.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll be $40,000 less, approximately. The park fund, $15,385.37. The equipment fund, $18,950.87. Highway capital, $124.62. Street light, $32,634.84. The reserve funds, the general fund reserve, $303,461.46. Open space, Mangerfield, $50,654.88. Sewage maintenance fund, $166,722.21. The stormwater fund, $5,576.32. The escrow funds, $560,757.57. And the open space Durstein, $24,255.19. You also have a copy of the list.
Greg, is the assumption that the park fund that exists there now will carry over to 2018?
Yes, the $15,000 stays in the park fund year to year. You also have a copy of the bills.
Any questions? Greg, no questions?
No. I'll move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion made for approval of the bills, payment, all subject to audit.
A second?
Second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, thank you.
Next item is the Public Works Report. I'll go over the former Township Road. Armode, Augustine Road, filled potholes on Forest, Old Mill, Climber, Cedar Hollow, Gainland, Old Mill, East Old State, Green Top, Lonely, Climber, Keystone, and School Lanes. Blew off ditches on a whole list of roads there in the packet. Leaves blown off Tower, Gainland, Shoecraft, Gold Mine, Simmons Roads. Salted the roads on December 14th. Saw cut, marked, and replaced the collapsed pipe on Cedar Hollow Road. Fixed temporary road signs. They marked the dead tree out on Reeds Valley for PennDOT. Picked up the deer carcass on Desmond. Cleared the ditch on Climber. Cut down 3 trees. And did the monthly inspection of pipes and roads.
Can you tell me if there's been any activity on the dead tree in the ditch on Ridge Valley Road?
I'll have to go check on that
Okay, I know
And
it was
the
very
other
nice,
one was-
it was a very nice job of marking it, I will say that.
one. They did mark it, but they have not cut it.
Okay, well, that's on PennDOT, but still.
Right.
Well, we had a dead tree in the ditch on Thousand Acre Road for a long time, and I'm happy to say it was removed today, so thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Craig on Public Works?
Yeah, no, I have no other questions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. To approve. I don't need that?
No, you don't need that.
All right.
Do it at the end.
All right, the next item is in the board's packet is the 2018 budget. Some of the highlights is the reduction in police costs of $82,000. Codification over 2 years, $21,053. The road repair budget is $242,000, and the projected revenues will be down about $2,000.
Any questions for Greg on that?
No. I think you're in detail with Greg, I find it in order.
I find it in order too, and I'm happy to see we've been able to do some reductions, and I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, I want to thank Greg for the time and effort that you put into this budget. It's not extravagant, but it's keeping us without a tax increase, and we're doing some road work, which is important. Number one issue on the surveys, and that is something that I think is key to our success in this township. It's keeping our roads up to date if we can. So, anything else on the budget?
move for approval as presented.
And I second.
Okay, motion's been made, second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The last item I have is a yearly recycling grant that we do every single year. I would just need a motion for the chairman to sign it after the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
For $4,000.
What's that for?
$4,000 is for our recycling grant. They do all the recycling grant, and then we get back about $25,000.
Motion's been put on the floor. Second it, by Don. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, great. Anything else, Greg?
No, just at the end of the meeting, we need to have an executive session for personnel.
I did fail to announce that in our announcements. We will be holding an executive session at the end of this meeting. Moving forward, I will entertain a motion for the approval of the manager's report as presented.
Make a motion.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, moving forward, old business. Don, you have anything?
I have none.
Okay, I have one thing I want to bring up. Several years ago, I discussed, worked very hard with Paul Clymer and Senator McElhaney on replacing the bridges on Allentown Road that are one-lane, accident-prone traps. I did a lot of legwork, only to find that there was an ordinance put in place by a prior board that restricts the improving of one-lane bridges in our township. So that you can't put a two-lane safe passable bridge like is up at Campbell's Dam or Milford Township, if you recall that area, if you know where that area is up there. So I would like this board to reconsider in taking that ordinance out so that we can plan to replace the two dangerous bridges that we have on Allentown Road, one being at the Twin Churches and the other one being at Butter Creek, where we have had numerous accidents and even fatalities. So we have to do away with the ordinance, so I would like the board to consider looking at that ordinance till next month's meeting so that we can discuss it.
I think that these being state roads, I think we should take another look at it.
That
because-
was my point.
If we limit it to state roads.
Yes, limiting it to state roads.
Township roads are different, but that is a state road where there's a lot of traffic and we have a lot of issues. It's very dangerous, and all the complaints I get from citizens to try and cross that bridge at the Twin Churches.
I know during rush hour it could be backed up for a quarter mile sometimes. It gets pretty bad back there, so I think,
Suggest we look at all the documents and
Yep.
put that in place,
yeah.
and what the reasons for. Some were historic, some of them were, that's what we could do when it was done.
I was told by Senator McElhaney when I had a meeting with him that he could have gotten me two-lane safe passable bridges if it wouldn't have been for this ordinance being in place. And that was about 3 years ago when I had that meeting.
Well, we'll take another look at
Okay.
it, and like we said, it's just for state roads, it's not for our local private, local township roads.
That's the only thing I had for old business. Do you have anything for old
I
business?
have nothing.
Moving forward to new business. Any new business?
Is everybody aware that they're gonna be replacing the bridge through Stewartville, or far?
Yeah, that's,
Start replacing
I
that
believe so.
bridge.
yeah, that's going on for about, said 1 or 2 year project to replace the
Yeah.
bridge down by the firehouse.
Almost 2 years.
I think what you're gonna find is they plan on leaving one lane open so that they can have traffic still flowing in both directions, but I think you're gonna see a real mess there in afternoons and mornings. If you can go through any other way other than over that bridge, I just suggest you.
Poor Landis is, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right,
Both bridges out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, with land is also out, so that's gonna be a real mess, yeah.
Okay. Any other new business, Don?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Moving forward, I'll open the floor for public comment. Please state your name and address if you do have any. Frank, you were first.
Well, I got 2 public comments. The second one's just coming up, but the first one was on meeting procedure. I disagree with allowing that letter to be read at the time it was read. That should have been done by a confirmed appointment. And Karina Rilling's been in this township long enough to know what the procedures are, and they're pretty plain. If anything, the letter should be read now. I have nothing against the contents of the letter or the reading of the letter, but it's a procedural thing from a meeting standpoint. And I think it opens up a can of worms of having people just come in and make comments like that. There's a confirmed appointment procedure, and it should be followed. That's one thing. Now, the thing with Allentown Road, when you guys talk to McElhenney about opening those bridges, I'm neither here nor there on that. But the one thing I would like to see is the 53-foot tractor trailers taken off those roads, because we have no industry from almost Franconia all the way down into Trumbarsville on Allentown Road.
It won't happen, Frank. Don't waste your time. It's a state road. It will not happen.
Well, that's what we keep on hearing about, a state road, a state road. We kept on hearing that the township couldn't do anything with a state road. Now we're finding out that the township is the one that stopped PennDOT from making that a passable bridge. That don't make sense.
There's an ordinance.
It's
an ordinance.
Well, how can you pass an ordinance on a state road?
It's in the township.
It was a Stone
But you
Arch
can't-
Bridge ordinance.
Stone Arch Bridge ordinance.
But you can't get anything done with PennDOT on the other parts of the state road that's in there? You call PennDOT up and they laugh in your face. Yeah, it's a big bunch of baloney to me.
Okay.
My name is Cliff Cole. I'm on 2440 Shoecraft Road. You stated that the bridges are dangerous in your when you were stating old business.
You're making a public statement?
I'm asking a question. Yes, I'm making a public statement. I'd like to see this. I'd like to request that the supervisors supply statistics that go along. That you made a statement that the roads are dangerous and that there's been fatalities. I'd like to know what the statistics are. I use those bridges.
You come to the meetings, you'll hear complaints almost every month about the traffic at the...
Okay, but there must be police reports then.
Yes, there is. We just had a fatality not long ago, actually, on the Butter Creek Road Bridge, at the Butter Creek Road Bridge, here a couple months ago. So we'll get some information for you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment? Yes, Ben.
Everybody, 127 Bart Road. I didn't understand what Rockhill community was here for with the funding agreement and how that affects the township.
In order to get Industrial Development Authority tax-free financing, one of the procedural requirements is that the borrower secure the consent of the local municipality to use tax-free financing in its project. Can't tell you why that is, it just is. And we have done a number of tax-free financing projects with different entities in the township, and Rockhill Mennonite, this is probably their second or third time doing it, and it's really just a procedural item that they have to check off their list to show compliance with the state statutes.
Thank you,
They're going to refinance their debt and get to the point where they're paying less in taxes and so forth. So that's the reason for it, most of it.
Any other questions or public comment?
John Hunter, 1504 Ridge Road. Earlier this evening, when Suzanne gave her report, there was a comment made with regard to not being allowed to go forward with prepaying taxes. I'm just looking for a clarification on that. When we get our tax bills, they break it down into the three, time periods that you can pay. She wasn't talking about that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Yeah.
I just want to wish the board a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, sir.
I second that motion.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, seeing that no other public comment, I will entertain a motion into adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made. Second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas to you all, and have a happy New Year.